Good evening. So people ask me why I'm running for president. So I'd like to tell you about Ben. He's got a relapsing remitting psychosis, and each time he'd relapsed, he'd been admitted under section, done well, and then left hospital. After a few months, he disengages. And then after each relapse, he'd have a different care coordinator, and unfortunately, his consultant had retired because of the pension tax problem. And so it meant that no one really had a relationship with Ben. You know, they didn't know that he was an artist, a musician, that he was, a caring grandson. Eventually, he was actually discharged from care altogether. And that's because, caseload sizes are a little bit too big. But then he got ill again. Because he'd been discharged from services, he couldn't enter services again via the CMHT. He was too ill for IAPS, and by the time the crisis team stepped in, it was too late. Ben was admitted again, but unfortunately this time with the help of the police, because he'd attacked a family member. And that's the treatment gap. It's caused by chronic deficits in workforce and funding, to the tune of 55%. And the costs of mental illness are 10 times the spend. It's unsustainable, and it's a false economy. We don't have enough beds, so we discharge people far too early, and we haven't yet sorted out our community services. We're forced to do too much. We're overworked, we're tired, and yet we provide the best care we can, often without the equipment that we need to do our jobs. I mean, look, like many of you, I lack basic resources. I don't actually have a proper office, I don't have enough admin support, I don't actually have a work mobile. And yet, I'm a psychiatrist of 30 years, I'm a clinician. I'm the clinical director of my service. I've actually even got a CBE for services to psychiatry. And yet I still have to go and chat up Keith, the IT man, and wave jelly babies under his nose if I want to get a laptop. What's that about? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time, and it adds to the treatment gap. And another thing that is a waste of time are the meaningless key performance indicators, adding to this unnecessary paperwork. We need meaningful measures of what we do, and we need meaningful measures of how it helps people recover. And we must address this treatment gap. We've got to insist on ongoing ring-fence funding for mental health care. We've got a new chancellor, again. We've got to seize the opportunity to enhance funding so that we can return to the basic principle of providing relationship-driven, therapeutic, compassionate, evidence-based quality care so that no one has the same experience as Ben. Look, we're at 100% recruitment, and that is fantastic, but we have fewer substantive consultants than ever before, and that tells us that there is a major retention problem. We've got to do something for our mid-career psychiatrists, our consultants, and our SAS doctors. We can do this with portfolio roles. Psychiatrists are retiring earlier and earlier. We're losing decades of experience from people who hold the institutional memory and the history of mental health care in their hearts and minds. We should support people back to work, yes, but we need their wisdom as well. We've got to use it. We've got to support our junior doctors. Without them, there's no service. We can't run them. And we're recruiting them, but are we looking after them well enough? No, we're not, because you know what? The juniors are leaving. We've got to face facts. Working conditions have got to improve, and they've got to improve fast. And many members don't see the college as relevant to them. Decision-making must become more transparent. Under my leadership, we'll have wider debates of the key issues, allow time for proper consultation and discussion. We'll have regional hubs, satellite centres in the devolved nations and regions, and international link sites where members can come together, work, learn, feel part of this noble profession. And we need to think about, look at the physicians actually. The physicians have got a northern hub, why can't we? And we've got fascinating science, great academics. We've got to grow our research. And since the pandemic, people do nothing but talk about mental health. We've got to use this opportunity to raise the profile of psychiatry. The college sets high standards. It has the evidence, and it can educate, and it will help us combat all this anti-psychiatry and misinformation. And we've got to have fairness for all in our services and our workforce so that we can provide better quality clinical care. No matter who you are, where you're from, I will not let you be disadvantaged. Everyone in this room and everyone joining online, We all know that patients are best served by psychiatrists who are valued, supported, and properly resourced. As your president, I will nurture and support psychiatrists so you can thrive in your work. I will address the mental health inequality and constantly strive to narrow the treatment gap. I'll raise the profile of psychiatry for the public, patients, and for psychiatrists. And above all, as your president, I'll support you so that you can support our services. Thank you.